The neighbor I avoided for years ended up saving me from my biggest nightmare. I'd been avoiding my neighbor Gerald for 3 years. He was the guy everyone on the street whispered about, the one who'd file noise complaints if you sneezed too loud, the guy who'd measure your lawn with an actual ruler to make sure it wasn't half an inch too long. I parked on the opposite side of the street just to avoid making eye contact, let alone small talk. Then Damien moved in next door to me. Week 1, he blocked my driveway for 4 hours straight. I knocked on his door politely, asked him to move his truck. He looked me up and down and laughed. It's a free country, sweetheart. Week 2, his parties went until 3 in the morning on work nights, bass shaking my walls, people screaming in his backyard. I asked nicely again, explained I had work early. He turned the music up louder while staring at me through his window. I filed a noise complaint with the city. Nothing changed. That's when things got worse. Damien started letting his dog shit directly in my yard. Then he'd stand on his porch and wave at me while it happened. One morning I woke up to garbage dumped all over my front porch. Coffee ground, rotting food, beer bottles everywhere. I marched over and confronted him. "Prove it was me," he said with this smug smile. I was shaking with frustration, completely powerless. That afternoon, Gerald appeared at my door holding a thick folder. "I've been documenting everything," he said quietly. He opened the folder. Photo, timestamps, audio recording, all organized by date. He doesn't know who he's messing with. I stared at the folder, then at Gerald. "Why are you helping me?" "Because I'm petty," he said flatly. "And some of us are very good at it." Within 3 days, Damien's life became absolute hell. Code enforcement showed up citing him for 7 different violations Gerald had quietly been reporting. Peeling paint, overgrown bushes, junk in his yard, all documented with photo. His landlord received letters about lease violations, noise complaints from 11 different neighbors. All of them were Gerald's burner email account. Damien's car got towed 3 times in 1 week for parking violations Gerald had been meticulously tracking. Each time, Gerald had called it in himself. I watched from my window as Damien spiraled, getting angrier and more desperate. One evening, he stormed across the street and started screaming at me on my front lawn. "You think you're so smart? I'm going to make you regret this." He was pointing his finger in my face, getting closer. Before I could respond, Gerald stepped out of his house with his phone already recording. "Say that again for the camera," Gerald said calmly. Damien spun around. "Stay out of this, old man." "Threatening a woman on her own property," Gerald narrated into his phone. Documented at 6:47 p.m., Damien lunged toward Gerald. Gerald had already dialed 911. 2 police cars arrived within minutes. They arrested Damien right there on the street, hands behind his back. I stood on my porch watching, completely shocked. Gerald walked over and handed me the folder. "Keep this. You might need it for the restraining order." Damien broke his lease the next week. Moving truck came on a Tuesday. Gone by Wednesday morning. I brought Gerald cookies the following weekend as a thank you. He opened the door, took the plate, and pulled out a ruler from his pocket, measured each cookie carefully. "Perfect dimensions," he said, the corner of his mouth almost forming a smile. "I knew you'd get